Hello and welcome. This video is meant for my 7th grade classes. In particular, we have just gotten through the rates and ratios quiz. It'll be the first one that we have for the semester. We've currently just started our Labor Day weekend. And the purpose of this video is for those of you that are unhappy with your quiz scores. This is a good chance for you to review, see where you might have made a few mistakes, and get ready for any potential retakes that are coming up. Or if it's coming around that time where we're looking at a test, where we're going to be testing on this as well as other things that we've learned for the semester, and you just need a good review, this is where we're going to be picking up. So, everybody, I hope at home, hope you have a sheet of paper, and I hope you have been writing this down. If you haven't, go ahead and pause the video. Make sure you have this full set of information. We're going to work through each of these problems, and then we're going to just show our steps as we go. Alright. So if you are reviewing, I hope you'll actually try this before we go through it. If you're looking for a little bit of help, then we're actually going to start that right now. If not, I hope you pause the video. Welcome back, if you've been pausing. Alright. So first we're going to look at the case of an ostrich and his running speed. Alright? Now we were given one rate of 22 miles per 30 minutes. And now it's asking us to find out what's going to happen if he's been running for 60 minutes. So assuming that he keeps this rate of speed, we have to find out how far would he go if he's been doing this for another 30 minutes. So the method that we've been using, and the one that we're going to keep using, is we're going to find a multiplication step. Alright? Remember, we cannot just add numbers here. We have to find our multiplication step. So we are going from 30 minutes to 60. We have to do so by multiplying. So we're going to ask ourselves, what times 30 is going to equal 60? So we multiply 30. We're going to end up multiplying it by 2. Alright? If we multiply 30 times 2, we're going to end up getting 60. Same goes for our top of our fraction. We're going to multiply that by 2 as well. Remember, what you do to the bottom of the fraction, you have to do to the top. Alright, so we're going to multiply that. We're going to end up getting 44. Alright? Now, if you ever find yourself getting a scaling factor that's going to be a little hard to find, say we didn't know it was going to be 2, we could say, alright, well, we're going from a smaller number to a bigger number. So if it does have a good scaling factor, we're going to multiply by something. And let's see, what are we going to multiply by? Well, what we can do is we can take our bigger number, in this case, which is 60, and we're going to end up dividing it by 30. Right? Let's see. At 30, that's going to go into 60. If I try it once, I'm going to end up getting a remainder of 30, so that's not going to do it. So, try for twice. Multiply it out. Right? We'll end up getting 60, so when we try to subtract it, find out, okay, I got 2, remainder 0. Alright? Once we have our scaling factor, we would take it down here, and that's what we would have. Alright? And that's just assuming we don't know what our scaling factor is. So now let's take our next step, and let's just assume that, yeah, we don't know what our scaling factor here is going to be. How many times will 60 go into 120? Suppose we weren't sure. Well, we take the bigger number, 120. Alright. We'll divide it by 60. Alrighty. So, and I could say, well, I think 60, I think that's going to go in there twice. Alright. 2 times 6 gives me 12 with a 0. Okay, 120. Perfect. Right? So subtract that, and look at that. 2 with a remainder of 0. But remember, this is our scaling factor. One thing I noticed on the test, some of you were using this strategy. You said, oh, well, let's see, I can figure out what I need by using division. But then you took your scaling factor and you said, that's the answer. That's what goes in the blank. Remember, this is just what we're scaling by. So we found we're going to have a scaling factor of 2. Alright, so it's got to go bigger, so we know we're multiplying by 2. 60 times 2, that's 120. That sounds right. 84 times 2, what's that going to give us? Gives us 88. Okay? There's how we're going to work with our fractions. This section was pretty good. I liked a lot of what I saw. If you feel like you just need the review for the test, we might have it around the end of this semester. Hopefully this is helping you. Well, I guess we're looking probably this will be more around midterm. Alright. Next up I have a quail. I'm told I get 20 yards per 2.5 seconds. Alright. 20 yards per 2.5 seconds. And now it's saying I want to know how fast is he going to, or how far is he going to go if he's given 5 seconds to run. Okay. In this case, we just have another scaling factor that's going to be multiplying by 2. Alright? We had to find it. We could divide 5 by 2.5. We would find 2. And remember, you always want to show how you got to the next step. I noticed on our quizzes, a lot of you didn't show your work. For some, you had the right answer, so it ended up working out. You ended up coming away pretty good. But if you didn't have any work and you just had an answer and it was wrong, I couldn't give you any points for that. So always make sure you show your work. Because then, if you make a small error, well, you come out a little better. And then, of course, we always try to double check our work. Alright, so I have 20. When I multiply that by 2, I end up with 40. Alright, and let's double check that thought. 20 times 2, that gives me 40. 2.5 times 2, that gives me 5. Feels logical. Alright. Now, suppose I didn't want to go from 40 over 5 to go over here to 10. Rather, I just wanted to use this first piece of info. I could do that. So we'll have to come up with a step that'll take us from 2.5 all the way over here to 10. And then we're going to use that same step to go over here to our blank spot. Alright, so what times 2.5 is going to give us 10? Well, let's test that out here. 2.5. Do a little bit of division here. Go for 10. Alright. So if I try to divide my first number here, if I try to divide 1 by 2.5, can't get anything yet. So I'll just move over to my 0. So now I know timesing it by 2, that gave me 5. If I times it by 3, get an extra 2.5, so that's going to give me 7.5. And then one more, that's going to give me 10. So our number here that we're going to end up with is going to be 4. Alrighty. 4 times our 0.5, that's going to give us 2.0. Alright, so we'll have a 2 that we carry over. Multiply our 4 by our 2 there. Carry down our extra 2, that gives us our 10. Alright, so we're golden there. If this feels confusing, remember, of course, we can always use our calculator to double check that. Alright. And notice here we have a remainder of 0. So our scaling factor is going to be a 4. And when we look at this, we know, okay, I either got to multiply it or I got to divide it. And if I forgot which step I use here, do I multiply, do I divide? Let's think about it. If I divide 2.5 by 4, got a smaller number than 10, and I'm making it even smaller if I'm dividing. But if I multiply it, then it's going to go bigger. So I figure my scaling factor is 4. If I multiply it, do that to the top as well. That's here. 4 times 2.5. We already kind of figured. Alright, that's going to give us 10. Alright, so that feels right. 20 times 4, that gives me 80. And since I doubled from 5 to 10, see, I should be doubling up here. 40 going to 80. Okay, so I doubled that as well. So far it all feels pretty rational. Alright? Remember always to show your step. How you got there. You have to multiply or divide by something in order to convert your ratio or your rate. So, let's see what we can do now with our Roadrunner. And notice here, instead of having these nice fractions, we're given a table. And these can come off as a little confusing, but let's see what we can do with it. And let's just think of it as we still have our fraction, right? This is our top number, this is our bottom number. Let's just treat them the same. Alright, so we're told he can go 300 yards in 30 seconds. Cool. And then we have 60 seconds given to us on the bottom. But notice our top here, we don't have a value in there. Alright. Well, let's see. If I'm going from 30 to 60, that's just going to be multiplying by 2. So if I'm going multiplying by 2 along my bottom set of boxes, then I got to do the same for my top set. Alright, so I multiply that by 2. Alright, 300 times 2 gives me 600 yards. Okay. Alright, now let's look at this one. Look here, this one has us actually looking for the bottom box. It's the same as when we're looking for the bottom number on a fraction. And it's really going to have us using the same step. We're going to look at our top box. And tell you what, let's go with 300. I feel like that one's going to play a little nicer for us. So if I want to go from 300